Hello and welcome to my channel. And I'm happy to be participating in the Paper Sweeties 25 Days of Christmas. Hopefully you've been enjoying all of the Christmas makes so far. And if you haven't, you can pop on over to the Paper Sweeties blog and check out what the design team has been sharing with us. So I'm going to start off by stamping my sentiment with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is a pigment ink, so it gives you plenty of time to get some embossing powder on there. And I just added some clear embossing powder, which just gives it that little extra bit of shine, and it sort of makes your sentiment have that enamel touch or feel to it. So it's a nice little extra detail to make a card a little bit extra special. And so I'll be using that in combination with the oval scallop die to create my sentiment topper. Now, I originally set out to thinking that I would be making an ugly sweater card. So I stamped out this sweater, which is from one of the Sweeties outfits. And I think it's a Sweeties outfit for Jake. And I just used a bunch of leftover scrap pieces of pattern paper from other cards and other makes. And this is a great scrap buster because this sweater is probably maybe 1 inch square, so you really don't even need that much pattern paper to really kind of fill a card. And I am working on a mini slimline card, so it is a little bit smaller than the standard USA2 size card that I create. This is actually 3.5 by 5.5. I don't know if that's a standard size for a mini slimline, but it works for me because I can actually get 2 of these on cut from one US letter size sheet of paper. So it's a bit more efficient than cutting a 3x6 card. Is that the normal mini slimline dimension? I'm not even too sure. But I have some old foam adhesive here that I want to use up, so that's what you see with all that yellow kind of paper liner. And I'm just gonna try to figure out how I want to sort of position everything, what order I want my sweaters in, because there's some sweaters I want to make sure you can really see all of, which is like the one with Santa's face. And that's the other thing with stamping these onto just little scrap pieces. I really didn't mind stamping like right in the center of a piece of leftover scrap, just so that I can really position the sweater where the design is going to be the most visible, or a little bit more like the focus of the sweater. And so as it turns out, I need one more sweater to finish this. So I found this little piece of scrap, and I have used this paper before. It's that green sweater with the snowflake. And since I don't want this sweater to look identical to the other one, I'm just hovering my stamp around so that I can find a spot and orientation where I can stamp it. And I'm going for a sweater that's just more of a polka dot sweater, so that it isn't so obviously a snowflake sweater like the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut this out, and I'm going to cut right to the line, and then they'll give me the last sweater that I need in for my card. And it really made a huge difference to add that little bit of sort of a camel color matte paper. And I did leave a little bit of a border, very, very thin border. My card base is 3.5 by 5.5, and I think I probably cut that sort of camel colored cardstock to 3 3/8 by 5 3/8. So just 1/8 of an inch shorter and more narrow. Now I'm gonna make sure that I am running my sweater pattern right off the edge of the card. That way it just looks like this is just pattern paper that I've cut down to size, and it'll feel a lot more organic that way. as opposed to everything just kind of fitting within the confines of the card base. So I'll go ahead and make some snips. And also the reason why I had to actually cut some of the sweater off is because I want to fit 3 rows, but I can't, with the height of this particular card, I can't fit 3 sweaters up and down completely without having it run off the edge. So in order to kind of keep things a little bit centered, I'm going to have to snip a little bit off of the top on the top row and a little bit off the bottom on the bottom row. But I think ultimately that's going to make this whole piece feel more like it's part of a larger sheet of pattern paper. And so I'll do the same here as well. But what I realized is I don't want to stack the sweaters right on top of each other, but rather I'm going to end up staggering that middle row, since my sentiment is going to be right in the center and it's going to cover up the center, so I don't actually need a full sweater there. The middle row is the only one that I'm going to leave all of the sweaters complete, and it'll just look like it's a little bit staggered off of the top and bottom rows, which are going to be more or less in line with each other, but I'm not aiming to get them perfectly in line, so that because the middle row is a little bit oddly staggered, then this will be a little bit oddly staggered as well. So then that way you're not kind of feeling like, oh, something's a little bit off. Everything's just staggered a little bit differently. And so I think that makes it look like there isn't really a pattern there. So so that's how I'm gonna fill this in, and it's a really simple card to put together, and it doesn't really even require that much pattern paper. So one of the nice things is, if you do tend to make a lot of cards for the holidays, when you're getting towards the end, projects like these where that are great scrap busters are awesome for all those leftover bits, and that way you don't have to just keep storing them year over year, but you can actually kind of use them all up. And I'm not exactly sure what color drops, Nuvo drops I want to use, so I'm just going to make a bunch of drops in a few different colors and give myself some options. For me, it's really hard to decide in advance what color drops to use and where to put them. So what I like to do is I just make my drops on these paper liners. It's just the backing paper off of double-sided adhesive sheets. And that way I can sort of preview what it looks like and try different configurations out, try different colors out, and not commit to anything. And so I definitely prefer to make my drops in advance, and whatever I don't use, I'll just store it in little containers, and then I'll have them ready for the next time I work on a project and I need some drops. And I'm just one of those people who I kind of need to see it before I can form an opinion of what I like or what I don't like. And ultimately I kept it really simple and just added the 2 drops right onto my sentiment panel here. And that's my card complete. I hope that you enjoyed this card, and if you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing, and hop on over to the Paper Sweeties blog to check out the rest of our 25 Days of Christmas. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day.